There we go, same battery. Whoa, look at that. That's nice. I like that. Hello drone racers, I'm Mark, and today on Drone Racer 101 we are going to continue looking at 2018, the year of the 3-inch. We've got more 3-inch drones coming this year, and I think we're going to see lots and lots of them this year. And this time it's LDARCs, formerly known as KingKong. They haven't given up on the KingKong name yet. It's still all over the place. They have both of them listed here now. But this is the Fly Egg Pro, and this is their first, that I know of, full, real 3-inch, and it still comes in a bin. And they keep getting even nicer. This looks like a Fly Egg, but it has a run cam mini, or micro, I don't know. It does not look like a legit run cam though. It's a faux CCD camera, but most of these have been pretty darn good. Has the Fly Egg, now the FPV Egg, because this should have an OSD built into the board. It is a 3 or 4S drone. These motors are, let's take a look. They are 1406 3600, so they're a little bit smaller than the ones that come in the XLR 145. So those are 1407s, I believe. It is a F4 flight controller with a built-in OSD. Thank you, KingKong LDARC, for finally figuring that out. It runs off a 4-in-1 ESC, and it's only a 20 amp, so that's a little bit of a concern. With 4S, you know what, it should be fine. I had 12 amp ESCs when I started that supported it, but that was a different time for props. We were running 50-30s at that time, and that was a big deal. Now 20, I'm a little worried that 4S, a good 4S, is going to be too much for these, but we're going to give it a shot. It has their pretty traditional VTX. It's 16 channels, which now with race band seems like it's usually not a problem. And it is 25 or 100 milliwatts, so it's pretty good options for you. You should be able to get pretty good range, even though this is a linear antenna. I don't know if you can quite see that. They're 30-50 props, so they're pretty aggressive, but they should be fine. This is a 600 TVL CCD camera according to the specs, and it is pretty well totally contained in here. So right now they all come as a plug and play at the moment, so you have to install your own receiver. I'm going to be installing a FrSky XM Plus in here because with a little bit more power, I want to make sure I have plenty of range. I think this is going to be too good of a model just for a XM with a single receiver. Also in the box you get a 3S battery, so it's a pretty nice 3S. It's a 850 3S tattoo battery. It's a real tattoo. Recently they've been coming with G&B batteries, but okay, we'll switch it around and we'll try this. Also, one thing I didn't point out, it comes with an XT30 connector. I would prefer an XT60, so we'll see what I do here. Most of my batteries that I will want to put on this 4S have XT60s on them, so I might make an adapter or I might change this. I haven't decided yet. You get a ton of extra props. There are 10 pairs, so 5 extra sets of props in white, yellow, and clear. So you are set to probably not need any other prop options for this. I actually have a whole bunch of 3-inch props to try on different models, but for this one, if you don't want to try different ones, these look pretty good. They look pretty aggressive. I think they'll be good. We'll find out, but you get lots of them. That's nice. You also get some replacement rubber bands that I will never install because you have to go to ridiculous measures to put them on. Some Velcro, some little zip ties, which are nice. No heat shrink to put your receiver tube in. It's also nice you get a couple of extra cables for connecting your receiver, so they even show you what to do for 5 volt or 3.3 volt, which ones to use. Makes it really nice. It'll just plug right in, make it super easy to set up your receiver. Then KingKong has some of the best manuals, at least the layout of what they give you. The information they give you is really well laid out. The flight controller layout and what all the connections are and what they mean, the 4-in-1 ESC and what it can connect to and do, how to set up your FrSky, FlySky, Futaba Spectrum receiver. It's all here depending on what model you've got, which wires to use, how to connect it, how to set up your radio. Really good information. We're going to go through this for the FrSky. It also shows you then what to set up if you're going to flash the board even. And then a copy of their default PIDs, which at a glance I think are a little different for this model than they use for a lot of their others. So that's good. That's one of the things I really like about this company. They go the extra mile, and I have only had one model that wasn't perfect. I had one model that at full throttle it would cut out. I changed the connector, I think, and it was okay. They learned a little bit about power and what you could get away with on the models there for a while. But I really like KingKong and what they do in their models overall. So I'm really excited to try this one because I love the 3-inch. So it's pretty clearly marked on the cable which one goes which, and it means I'm going to be connecting to 5 volts. I don't need that green wire, so I'm actually going to remove that. And let's see if this comes off, because I really don't even want this flopping around. There we go, just kind of tear that off. And I'm going to remove this green wire. I don't want it in the way. So what I do is I take an X-Acto knife, and you could just cut it off here, and it would probably be fine, but it's also going to be feeding out 3.3 volts, which shouldn't touch anything, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. I just lift this little tab, and it's way easier to do when you can get your face down in there and you don't have a camera in the way. There we go, there I got it, and then that'll just pull out. So that way, that's totally out of the way. Now, if you are flying Spectrum or something else that has a 3.3 volt receiver, you're going to want to keep that, and in that case, you remove the yellow wire. So those wires are nice. They're already tinned from the looks of it. I've got my soldering iron here. I'm going to tin the pads here. So just get a little bit of solder. And, ooh, that is way too much. There we go. That's much better. I had a big giant glob on there to start out with. Just enough to get them on there. And then we've got the wires. So for the Free Sky, I always look at the manual. I just double check it. So I've got S-Bus 5 volt ground, which goes with this if it's turned this way. So then, just gonna put that on here and heat it up so both the wire and the solder blob melt, connect together. If you want to make it extra secure, you could actually feed that even through the hole, but this should hold without any problem at all. So now I pulled the sticker off the back here, and this should just plug in here. It's going to be a little bit awkward with that angle. I might have to use some needle nose pliers, or nope, it'll just fit right in there. Maybe. There we go. Popped right on. So then the receiver, what I'm going to do is feed the antenna through the front here. Easier said than done. So then I'm going to just set the receiver right on top of this board with some double stick tape. Here I've got a roll of Scotch brand double stick tape where I got way too big of a piece here. But this generally sticks pretty well to the flight controller. There we go. So for a permanent placement, I might cut those wires down, or I might zip tie them here. For now, I think this is going to work for quick testing. I say quick testing because it's January still, and I have another decently warm day, so I want to get this in as fast as possible. Taking a couple of these zip ties out of the bag, and I will put this one on backwards, but whatever. Got those. We'll take some heat shrink here. Stick it over both of these and get these in place, and then connect it to Betaflight. Okay, everything is all mounted and ready to go now. A couple other things that I did in the process. I did tie down one of these antennas just to get a different angle and to make sure this is awfully long and floppy, and I don't totally trust it or like that, but this one will hold down. Between the two of them, I should have a good connection. Then I also made this. This is an XT60 connector, which will then connect into an XT30 connector, so I can connect this on here, and it will allow me to connect my other batteries. You can buy these. I made this one. I would probably recommend buying them. It was a little fiddly, but I've got a whole bunch of solder connecting these together and have a wire strapped in there, and then just cover the whole thing in heat shrink. So that'll let me at least test 4S today. Now we will take a look in Betaflight. I also took the props off. Okay, so let's take a look at the CLI and just see what we've actually got in here, because this one's totally different. Oh, sorry. There we go. This is an Omnibus F4 SD, so that explains why we have all of the extra features, including the OSD. KingKong has finally gone the Omnibus route, which is the flight controller I see out there most of the time, and it's on 321, so that's a good version. We can work with that. Going to setup, and I'm going to go ahead and calibrate the accelerometer because that looks a little off to me. I know this table's pretty close to level, so we'll get that all set. We are on UART 6, which is what will be the standard on an Omnibus. D-Shot 600 is good. I'm going to turn on motor stop. It's an F4, so we should be able to get away with more. I don't know. We don't need a barometer. I don't know why they have that on. Is on S-Bus, so that's good. Anti-gravity is not on. Dynamic filters are, so we'll enable that. Save and reboot. Okay, power and battery. I'm going to turn this down. I missed that because it beeps too soon by default. PID tuning, let's see what they've got here. We know they have custom PIDs, because I know how maneuverable this thing is going to be, I'm actually going to turn this up. Filter. Oh, look at that. PT1 and dynamic filters are fully on out of the box. I think this is the very first model I've seen, and I'm not surprised that it's a KingKong. It has this turned on. They didn't go quite all the way. They don't have this last one turned off, but it's good to see that they have gone, so this will fly really, really well out of the box. I have much confidence. I have not set up the receiver yet, so I will do that. Modes while I'm at it. They do a good job setting that up, but I'm going to change it just a little bit, just because I have a 3-way switch here for aux 1. I want it to arm. Beeper I will set to aux 3. Turn that down. They don't have air mode on. That is a crying shame. So I want air mode on switch 2, so this will mean it'll work for horizon and acro mode. Now I'm doing flip over after crash, just because if I don't have to chase it, I don't want to. Okay, so they had it very close to my settings. Before I check the motors, let's check the OSD and see how they did on that. That looks pretty good. That looks totally usable. Fly timer, I don't want. I do like crosshairs. I don't want the artificial horizon or the horizon sidebars. Those just get in the way. Other than that, that's not too bad. I can live with that. Now we'll check the motors. I have an XF Power 3S battery. It does have the right connector on it. This is a 550, and this is about the only use for these things because these batteries are terrible. And it's going to be probably too small for this, but I want to check and see now. Make sure everything turns. Ooh, that's smooth. I am quite sure everything is turning the right way. So this looks really good and ready to go right out of the box. I'm really happy with the way it looks right now. So I'm gonna go fly it. You know what? I want to make sure there's a name on the OSD. No name. I am gonna personalize it. FPV EGG Pro. Just so when I go look at the video later, I know what's going on. Jeez, that beeper is loud. Same as the other FPV eggs or fly eggs. Really loud beeper, which is handy. Oh, one more before I do it, because I know I'm going to need to. I should have done this first. I will actually change this to TAER and save it, and now I'm going to set up my radio. Just in case, I'm going to go ahead and show you my radio setup real quick, just because I haven't done one in a while. Setup, I'm going to create a new model, and I'm going to go down to drone, select that, and then page. I still need to update this radio. I haven't done it yet. It's kind of embarrassing. I don't have Amber yet. So now I'm in the model. I will select page, and I will give it a name. That is a long name. Okay, that was exhausting. I probably should name it the 138mm because that's what this is. There's probably going to be another Pro at some other point. I will leave this on D16 and channel range 1 through 8 because that's the best option for this. Failsafe though, I'm going to go ahead and set while I'm at it to no pulses. That will make sure my failsafe works. So then the other models that I do is I go to 5 here, and this will be aux 1, and I go down and hit select, and then I flip. This is my arm switch. So I hit that for arm, and then I have my mode switch, which I set right here, and you'll notice if I flip a switch, it automatically chooses it for me. So if you have one of these and you have been flipping through to try and figure out which one you need, don't do that. Just flip the switch and it'll select it for you. So then I have aux 3, which I set as my buzzer. And then now, which I didn't used to do this, but now my aux 4, flip over after crash. Turtle mode. So then the part that a lot of people I think forget, and I have before too, is go in here, and now you actually have to set the mixer. So you just click to go in and exit. You don't have to go through and do anything. If you have just one model and you're gonna use it all the time, you can name these. I used to do that. I don't anymore. So now I will set this in and get it ready for bind, and then when I'm got this ready, I'll just hit enter and it'll bind. Now, if this was an XT60 and I could use that adapter, I would use my smoke stopper for this because it's way easier to use my smoke stopper than trying to plug this in. And on this model, it looked like the USB did not provide enough power to power up the receiver. There we go. Now I've got a green light on there. Now if I do bind, you can see now the red light is flashing. That means that's good, and that's good. Now I turn that off, turn this off. Now when I connect it in, I have a green light. I should be able to arm. Man, that beeper's loud. There's armed. There's motors. Those are good. If I go to horizon, air mode works. Oh man, it sounds pretty. Beeper works. Flip over after crash. Turns two motors. Good. I think that's all good. That works just the way I want it. So now I have just enough daylight to go fly, if I hurry. Okay, I'm not gonna start this out on the grass. So we will take off here. We've got the included 3S battery. That looks really good right off the bat. Not bad. It's not crazy power for 3S, but it's pretty good. I mean, it'll get up there without a problem. It'll get over just fine. So let's see. Tech horizon mode. That looks good. I don't know if I saved my rates. That doesn't seem like 0.8. That feels more like 0.7 to me. But let's check rate mode. That all looks good. Have good control. I said I was going to stay over the driveway in case something happened. Didn't want to dip in the snow, but I already lost that, so whatever. Okay. I think that looks good. I'm going to try it. Let's try this. Plenty of voltage left. Go to air mode. Let's be careful here because most of the snow has melted today, but not all of it. The camera looks really good. Looks really good. Overall, yeah, I am just at first glance very happy with the video. We're not going to do a full range test because I don't want to land it in the snow. I say that now, and I know I'm going to be stupid by the time I'm done here, especially once I'm on 4S. Yeah. It feels pretty good and locked in. Not crazy locked in. There's a little bit of movement in it, but not a lot. I mean, it doesn't feel like a Holy Bro. It feels like an omnibus, and most of what I fly have the omnibus in it. Feels like it's got good control though. On the 3S, even compared to the XJB 145, which is what's going to happen. Well, one thing, this comes out of the box a lot more ready to go. You could have just plugged it in and just go. You didn't have to do anything. And I had to do updates and get the XJB going the way it needs to be. But it's not bad. So here's that cruises pretty good. Well, I give it some go. That's not bad. There's full throttle. That's still not even full throttle. Gosh, it's got a long way to go. And this battery seems to be holding up. There's full throttle. And that definitely sucked on the battery. But it did okay. Can tell there's a linear antenna on here, but most of the 3 inches still due to weight that I have seen. That's what they've got. And even once I let go of it, let it back, it doesn't seem to be having any problem at all. Now this is a pretty big 3-inch battery. It's an 850 or 3S battery. At least for something this small, it's pretty big. Still doing okay. Yeah. Can you tell I just want to get this thing out of there though and put on the 4S? Because I think it's going to be a rocket. Let's do that. I think it's time. Okay, had to chase the kids inside in their pajamas since they wanted to come out and see what was going on, but you're in your pajamas. But this now is on a 4S. So I'm not giving it full. Oh, it turns better. You can see my antenna. Need a little more camera angle if we're gonna give it that much more. This is an 850. This is a I don't remember what brand this is. Yeah, so I want to turn up the video and I can't get to it. I'm not sure what to do. The video transmitter is at 25 milliwatts. I would turn it to 100 and that would help. Wait, it just flies. So in typical KingKong fashion, It just flies nice. Right out of the box. Don't have to do hardly anything to it to get it working, and it just works well and reliable. It's not as fast as the XJB, and I do not have as much camera angle on it. There we go, same battery. Whoa, look at that. That's nice. I like that. Oh yeah, now I can see where I'm going at full speed, full throttle. It's very angry with me. 3.2, but it comes back. That's just the nature of having these smaller batteries. Man, if I was going through though, I wouldn't. Yeah, there's going to be just a ton of these. It's not as fast as the XJB. It's just not. But man, I like it a lot still. I have no problems with it. They did a good job on this. They did a good job. The default PIDs, they did a good job. I'm going to show you the problem I have with the camera angle when we go back inside. But that's not. I rarely get the full throttle on this. Yeah, a lot of breakup though because of the 25 milliwatt. Plus, you can still see just fine, but it needs to be adjusted. So now, what I need to do is learn how to fly like Ladrib, right? Then we can have this a little more interesting. Because this will do it. This would do it just fine. If you want to, I talk about racing most of the time. If you want to be a freestyle pilot and fly this, it'll do it. Even over the pond. Okay, it's beeping at me though. Now the battery is legitimately low. That was close. Okay, bring it inside before I destroy it. So I'm gonna call that a total success. That went really, really well. It just flew nicely. The weirdest part was I had a hard time getting it to full throttle, and when I did, it was really, really fast, but my instincts didn't help me get there. I think partially because the camera angle. This is one of the drawbacks I see here. One, it's not tightened down very well. I need to tighten it down more. But you can see you try and get too much camera angle and it gets in the way. It's hitting my receiver, but even without my receiver in the way, it hits the plate there. So you can't get as much camera angle with this as I would really like. And that's probably going to be the biggest downside for raw, pure high-speed flying on this thing. You could take this out racing. I could take this out racing today. It'll run 2 minutes. It's really smooth. I wouldn't hesitate at all. It's very durable, I think. I mean, it's still going for me, so that's good enough. Be curious to see how it does with other props, but that camera angle is probably the biggest drawback. But going through gates on this, I think, would be pretty easy. Didn't have any problem with the XT30. My adapter, I didn't even notice it was on there. It didn't seem to hold back my power too much. If I was going to fly this all the time, I probably would put an XT60 on it, just the same way as I did the XJB 145. It just seems better if I want that pure draw. This rubber band is going to totally snap. When I stuck my 4S in there, man, it was stretched all the way and it was going to snap. I was a little concerned that would break off already. It's going to need some Velcro, but that's really minor things. I did realize when I was coming in for the landing that I was actually not standing in my normal position, so it wasn't completely fair. I was standing way back, almost inside my garage, so when I would fly down the golf course further, I had more breakup than I normally do, and it was mostly due to the video signal having to go through my house. But it did, and it kept going, so I was really happy with that. I'm going to call this an easy setup. So if somebody is newer, I think this is a little bit easier to set up and have go than the 145. Now you need to learn how to do everything, but right out of the box, had dynamic filters and they were enabled properly. It had really good PIDs. Everything just worked really nicely. Comes with a cable, just connect it in and be ready to go. I like it a lot. I'm going to call it a good success. Another great model from KingKong. I'll link down below to the batteries that I'll recommend. These tattoos worked pretty well, but the 4S G&Bs I think are going to be outstanding on this. I actually don't have any yet. I've got my own on the way, so I've been using this Pulse, which have been good. So if you found this useful, leave a like and a comment down below, and let me know what your favorite 3-inch is right now. Is this going to replace the 145? Do you think this is the one to go with? It looks it just looks very solid. Or does the XJB 145 still win out? Or is it going to be the X140 because the run cam split, which is on the way and will be here any day and is going to fit right in here? I think we're going to see a ton of these models around just because of that run cam split.